What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Kinich's character teaser, Business. I'm really interested to see what this is like. I've been really enjoying Natlan, and though we haven't been able to see too much of him, Kinich seems like a pretty cool character, and I can't wait for his Baron to start so I can pull for him because his gameplay seems pretty interesting as well. With that though, let's get into it. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and let's get into it. Nice guitar. Oh, wait a minute. I'm guessing probably for similar reasons to the Feijao stuff, it's in Japanese rather than English. Oh well, either way, no big deal. We have subtitles after all. $2 million more.
こいつをヤガミのところに送れ。それじゃ高すぎる。金が多いのを指摘されるのは初めてだ。だが兄弟が何人も命を落としてる。その代償を払ってもらわねえと。
Okay.
ならちょっと安すぎるな。キニチ、腕が立つんだろ。でなきゃこんなうまい話は回ってこねえ。どうするかよく考えるこった。ああ。ただしお前もな。俺は適切な値段でしか受けない。
あの爬虫類、偉大なる清流クフルアハを崇めたいって言ってるぜ。
要点を言え。
あの連中、子供をさらいに来たんだってよ。誘拐犯の悪党らしいぜ。
なるほど、竜を狙う常習犯だったか。
ああ。
毒は半日で消える。悪いな。200万じゃ足りないようだ。
Nice, okay.
おう、竜狩りの小僧。もう終わったのか？いや、提示したモラでは足りないと伝えに来た。は？どういう意味だ？
I like the music change up.
こいつらは報酬としてお前にやる。
Oh?
大つくばりの虫ども。偉大なる清流クフルアハを前に。
I forgot that you could do that. Jesus. Okay, cool. Okay, this actually helps me understand this character a lot better. I actually am very appreciative of this. It starts off pretty simple, with him evidently tracking something, acknowledging that there's loose soil, but the outline is clear, fresh tracks. It's not clear what he's tracking yet, but it looks like there's blood on the ground, which he acknowledges as such, as he acknowledges it's getting closer together. Which immediately, to me, doesn't say anything specific with the amount of context that we have at the initial point here, but it could mean a variety of things, of either its wounds are getting worse, it's getting weaker and therefore is moving slower, or some other element that I'm not accounting for. And evidently, it seems like it's a little bit of all those things, as supposedly it has been poisoned, presumably by Kinich, as he acknowledges the poison's working, in reference to the blood being closer together. But he acknowledges that the poison won't last long. At which point we have I don't know how to say his name correctly, acknowledging that this seems like a lot of work, why couldn't he have just killed it? Which is both very much just in line with his character, of being the much more aggressive and snarky one, but also serves as a good transition point to the context of this entire scenario. As Kinich says, I need to make sure the price is right, establishing that concept of a price of some kind. As we see this image of a Saurian, and it fades into the deal being made. 2 million mora to kill this thing, which is an exorbitant amount for killing a single creature, which immediately makes it clear how much these guys want this thing dead. He says he wants it dead and gone, 2 million mora. Kinich evidently acknowledges that that's a pretty high price just to kill one Saurian, and the people who we later learn are poachers just sort of gets a chuckle out of that, saying you're really complaining about the extra cash, as they evidently know a bit about Kinich, or are just of the mind that if you throw enough money at someone, they won't complain, as they then offer enough of a reason for the large price tag being it killed several of his men. But he doesn't give any of the context to what circumstances led to it happening. And at this point, Kinich says, if this thing's killed several people, it must be pretty dangerous. That seems like a pretty low price. Even if he's entirely confident in his own abilities to take this thing down, he's at the very least acknowledging that to him that seems like a low price for revenge against something that has killed several people, which shows that he is not above haggling for his price. As we see in a few of the instances where we have interacted with him, he is fairly money-oriented in a lot of ways. At which point, though, the poacher just says that he's doing Kinich a favor, and that he could take this offer off the table, but he's offering to pay 2 million to do this. And acting fairly reasonably, it seems at least, says think it through, despite the fact that, in reality, this Saurian in no way deserves to be killed for what it's done. And when questioned whether or not he really wants this job or not, Kinich immediately replies, of course he wants the job, but he'll warn you, telling you in advance, he only accepts the right price, bringing up that theme again for a second time, which at this point simply seems like he won't settle for a price that is below that the job entails. If by the time he's done with the job, he still believes that 2 million is low for this job, he will try to get more out of this. That's the implication that it leaves on this one. As he finds the Saurian, we can see that it's injured, but it's with a child, at which point it roars in defense, and as per usual, Aha is being his usual self, saying, this lizard wishes to bow down before the mighty Kahula Ha. But rather matter-of-factly, like always, Kinich just says, tell the truth. It said those men tried to take the baby. This leads to an interesting thing. Kinich can understand this Saurian. He can understand what a Saurian is saying. That's an interesting detail. Because though it's safe to say probably that a lot of people from Natlan can understand their Saurian partners and what their intents are, for him to so immediately be able to understand that this wild Saurian specifically said that those men tried to take their baby either shows a sign of him just being incredibly good at understanding the intents of animals, and this animal is merely trying to protect its child, and that is what, in all likelihood, was the case before, or he can literally understand it, and that implies some interesting things, potentially leaning in the direction of some of those theories of him having, like, actual draconic connections himself. I don't know if I fully buy into that, but this is an interesting point potentially towards that, depending on how literally we want to take his interpretation of understanding what the Saurian says. But either way, that one line allows us to completely recontextualize what's going on here, as we also visually get the sign that the injured Saurian is crying. It's injured, it's just trying to protect its child, and it's just backed into a corner at this point, barely able to defend itself. And Kinich simply responds by going, I see, they're Saurian poachers, realizing the circumstances that he has been involved in. And it fades to him much more calmly and closely to the Saurian, saying the poison will wear off soon. I'm sorry. At this point, the Saurian is not acting hostile anymore, and we can see that its injury has been bandaged, presumably by Kinich, which this shows a sign that Kinich is so in tune with Saurians that he is able to calm down an injured, cornered Saurian trying to protect its child enough that he can bandage its wounds, which says a lot. That says a lot of the kind of person he is and his capabilities. It shows that he's really in tune with nature, and the Saurians in particular, as he then acknowledges, your life is worth more than Mora. And this line answers a lot of questions for me about Kinich's morals. As in the story so far, what we have seen of him is relatively little. We have seen him be friends with people who are good people, in the case of people like Moalani, and we've seen him stand alongside Movika, the Pyroarchon, and we know that he's one of the 6 heroes, as well as the fact that he is fairly money-oriented. When asked to participate in an important and sacred ritual, he says, how much are you going to pay me? That kind of thing. Which paints him as someone who is not evil to any degree, but is fairly money-oriented. He isn't going to be doing things out of the goodness of his heart without being paid, typically. But this shows a different facet to that. This shows that at the very least, when in relation to Saurians, we don't know if he'd do the same for humans, he considers the life of a non-hostile Saurian, a Saurian that was minding its own business and merely protected itself and its child, being worth more than 2 million Mora. As it's been portrayed throughout the game so far, 1 million Mora is quite a bit. So 2 million Mora to kill a single creature is a lot of money for relatively limited effort for someone like Kinich. But he considers the life of that Saurian to be worth more than that. which immediately tells us that he values life of at least Saurians more than any amount of money, unless we're talking literally nonsensical amounts of money, potentially. At which point we fade again to him having returned to the poachers, as they say, "Hunter boy, finished already?" expecting him to have just gone through with it, clearly underestimating A, his morals, and B, his capacity to figure out what's going on. As he simply responds completely casually, "No, I'm here to tell you. I've changed my price. I said that I'd only accept the right price, and I've figured out that I need to change the price. Previous one was not acceptable." And they begin to get annoyed at him, as he simply ignores them and says to Aha, "These men are your reward." Which, if I'm to interpret this, I would believe is effectively the way that Kinich signals to Aha that he's able to let loose. He's able to go all out and attack these people. Which leads to the interesting question of, what is so special about Aha? Why is he so unique? Why is he an 8-bit creature that can talk and can transform into this big pixel dragon? Why is he so powerful? Now, of course, if you were to ask him, he'd say it's because he's the almighty dragon lord, but that isn't really an answer. But to continue on, Aha begins to just waffle on about how powerful he is and how they should tremble before him as he transforms into his big scary dragon form, looming over the poachers. And we don't even get to see the fight, as they just get blasted to cinders. Now, it's not entirely clear if they were killed here, but it's entirely possible. I know that Genshin likes to sort of be ambiguous with that kind of thing, so it's entirely possible that this is a non-lethal exploding. But either way, this is a rather brutal and dominant just destruction of them with literally no effort from Kinich. He just begins walking off the instant he's given the okay to Aha. And at that, he says, "Now the price has been paid." Which then allows us to contextualize that when he's saying that he only accepts the right price, he isn't just talking about money, he's talking about justice and about something more of a moral framework. In this case, if we return to when he said that he only accepts the right price, the 2 times he said it, the first time he's assuring to Aha that the reason he's going through so much effort rather than just killing the thing is because he needs to make sure that it is okay to kill this creature for money. He needs to make sure that the price that the Saurian is paying for attacking and killing some of these poachers is death, if killing it is acceptable for that. The second time he says it is stating to the poachers, "I will take this job. I have no qualms with taking the job, but I will make sure that if it is okay for me to do this job, that 2 million is worth the effort, and if it isn't okay for me to kill this thing, that you will pay for anything that you have done," which is just a really cool way to expand his character. It shows that he is very transactional in his thought process, but it is on a moral level as well as a purely monetary one. He has a moral compass to him beyond just being paid to do things. He may not willingly put himself out there to do things without being paid outside of extenuating circumstances, but when things go against his moral code, he'll see it through and make sure that the correct price is paid, which is just cool. I like that. But beyond that, this is fairly simple. It gives a really cool insight to his character that I don't think we really got in this way before, and it makes me excited to see more of him once his banner starts, and with his demo. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you did, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day, and goodbye!